everyone, my name is Nina and today I'm gonna read about Bessie Coleman. Introduction. In the United States in 1920s, few women flew planes and it was unthinkable that a black and Native American woman could fly. Yet Bessie Coleman did just that. She fought discrimination to follow her dream of becoming a pilot. Her determination opened doors for other women, Black Americans and Native Americans who became after her. Growing up in Texas, Bessie Coleman was born in Atlanta, Texas. In 1892, her parents were Black and her father was of Native American descent as well. They were sharecroppers. Bessie was one of 13 children. 2 years after Bessie's birth, the family moved to Waxahachie, Texas, where Bessie's father hoped that the busy town would offer good jobs. Bessie started school in Waxahachie. She had to walk miles each day to an all-black school because she was not allowed to attend the nearby white school. Bessie loved reading and books, and she was a whiz at math. Bessie's father was disturbed by the racial barriers in Texas. He believed that the family would be treated better if they moved to Indian Territory in what is now Oklahoma. Unable to convince his wife to accompany him, Bessie's father left the family when Bessie was 9 years old. Around that time, Bessie's older brothers grew up and also moved away. Bessie's mother worked as a housekeeper while Bessie helped to take care of her younger sisters. In Texas, cotton growing was big business. During the cotton harvest, everyone in the family worked in the fields. Bessie hated picking cotton. It was hot, boring work, and during the harvest, Black children couldn't go to school. Even though she worked in the fields, Bessie managed to finish all 8 grades in the local school. She decided that she wanted to go to college, so she got a job washing people's clothes and saved her money. In about 4 years, she had enough to begin college. Bessie enrolled at Oklahoma College, Agricultural and Normal University, now Lansing University in Lansing, Oklahoma. After 1 year, she ran out of money and had to return home. Moving to Chicago. 2 of Coleman's brothers had traveled east to Chicago, Illinois, in search of work and a better life. One day, one of her brothers, Walter, contacted Coleman. He thought she could get a good job in the big city. At the age of 23, Coleman boarded a train and made the trip to Chicago. It was a long and uncomfortable trip. Black people were forced to sit on hard wooden benches in a separate part of the train from the white people. When Coleman arrived in Chicago, she moved in with her brothers, Walter and John, and their wives, making 5 people in one small apartment. Coleman took a class to learn to become a manicurist, and soon she found a job at the White Sox barber shop on Chicago's south side. When America entered World War I, her brothers enlisted in the army and went to France to fight. Coleman read newspaper stories about the fighting in Europe and worries about her brother's safety. She also read about the brave pilots and was especially inspired by one, Agent Bullard, a black pilot who flew for the French. When her brothers returned, they told Coleman stories about the war. They teased her, saying the French women were braver than American women, that they could fly airplanes. Hearing stories about the brave pilots made Coleman realize that she wanted to become a pilot. But who would teach her? No one, she asked, could teach a black woman to fly. Traveling to France, Coleman did not give up. Her friend Robert Abbott, the editor of a newspaper for black people, told her that she could go to France to learn to fly. Coleman would not need a lot of money to pay for the trip and the lessons. She got a new job managing a restaurant and saved her money. She also took French lessons and quickly learned the language. A bot and other friends helped her pay for the trip as well. In 1920, Coleman traveled on a trip to France. She found a school run by the Coltrane brothers, who said they would teach her to fly. The training plane they used was called a biplane. It had 2 pairs of wings and 2 open cockpits. The instructor sat in the front cockpit as he moved the controls. It was very difficult to hear her teacher's instructions over the roar of the wind and the engine. Even so, Coleman was a good student, and in a few months, she was ready to fly solo. In 1921, at the age of 29, Coleman became the first Black American female pilot. She also became the first Black person and the first Native American to earn an international pilot's license. Triumphant return. In the fall of 1921, Coleman returned to the United States. Both Black and white Americans learned of her accomplishments. Coleman was interviewed by reporters and invited to special events. She was greeted with applause and respect. Coleman's dreams did not end with becoming a pilot. She wanted to start a flying school for others, especially Black people. But she would need money to start the school, and the best way for the pilot to make money was to perform at air shows. Before Coleman could be a part of an air show, she had to return to France to learn more about flying, including stunts and tricks. When Coleman came back to the United States, Robert Abbott helped her organize an air show near New York City on 3rd of September. 1922, it was the first time a Black woman had ever flown in air show. Barnstormer, Coleman's reputation as a pilot spread across the country. She became a barnstormer, a pilot who traveled around the country using farmers' used for air shows. Coleman's act pleased crowds wherever she performed. One of her stunts was the loop-de-loop, in which she fly her plane straight up in the air, turn upside down, and make large loops in the sky. Parachuting from a plane was another of Coleman's famous stunts. She also took people for rides in her plane. She gave many Black people their first chance to fly. Coleman took her other steps to help put an end to discrimination. She insisted that everyone, regardless of race or gender, should be allowed to attend any of the events in which she participated. She would not give a show or a speech to a white-only crowd. At first, Coleman had to borrow a plane for her shows. In time, she had enough money to buy her own plane, a Curtiss Jenny. Shortly after she bought the plane, its engine jammed and she crashed. Coleman had a broken leg, broken ribs, and numerous cuts. She was in the hospital for 3 months. As soon as she was released, Coleman went right back to flying. In April of 1926, 34-year-old Coleman agreed to do a show in Jacksonville, Florida that included a parachute jump. She and her mechanic, William Wells, took the plane up to pick out a spot for the parachute jump. Coleman didn't wear her belt seat because she needed to learn out of the plane to spot a good place for jump. The plane suddenly went into a spin. Coleman fell out of the plane and was killed. The airplane crashed and Wells was killed too. It was strangely, the country had lost a true aviation pioneer and one of his favorite pilots. Coleman's legacy. After Coleman's death, the U.S. Post Office installed a stamp in her honor, and the Chicago street was named after her. May 2 has been declared Bessie Coleman Day. In Chicago, 3 years later, Coleman's death, one of her most important dreams was fulfilled. The Bessie Coleman Aero Club, the first flight school for Black Americans, opened in Los Angeles. Bessie Coleman accomplished so much in short life, and she was continued to be an inspiration. Coleman was a good groundbreaking pioneer who never accepted that hadn't been done before as her reason not to pursue her dreams. She became the first Black female pilot, as well as the first Native American pilot in American history. Coleman's passion, motivation, and courage ranked right alongside her record-breaking achievements. Bye, guys.